Hey guys, here we are in the networking class, and I wanted to show you how tightly integrated things are with TestOut now. And many of you haven't used TestOut, and so you're not too concerned about what I'm talking about. But there is, let me give you the piece of information you need the most. This in Canvas is where you start. Allow this information to kick you over to TestOut. Don't just go over to TestOut. Now, again, a lot of you've never used this kind of content and you're like, I don't know what he's talking about, but you'll run into trouble later once you get smart, right? And then you inadvertently circumvent what they're doing. And then you're like, hey, I've got like 18 assignments and they don't show up. And why do I have an F? And then I look at it, I'm like, have you been logging in just to test out? Well, yeah, I have been. That's a big problem. Go back and redo all the work you did, right? That's what I'm going to tell you. So what you always want to do is CMP 250, right? Or 285 for that matter, when you get to that. You're going to log into Canvas. You're going to get into Canvas. You're going to do the work, initiate the work from Canvas. Let Canvas kick you over to TestOut. You'll do it in TestOut and the score will come back. Now, again, why I mention that is because you can go over to TestOut and do what you want to do in TestOut. Sorry, I've got to move this thing. These things always get in the way of controls. So here's TestOut, and you can go and log in to TestOut, and you can see all the material. And that's important for you to know because, for instance, we'll jump back over and you'll see that some of these units I'm not doing because we just simply don't have time. But you're like, I need to get certified, right? I need to do those units, right? So there's stuff in TestOut that you're offered in that material that I'm not grading as part of the class. So you do need to know, I can go over to TestOut, I can log in there and I can do work there. But it's a very limited situation where you want to do that. And that limitation is the material is not in Canvas. I'm not seeing it. So I'll go over to TestOut and see what's going on there. Because again, if I was to jump into, we're definitely going through the IP configuration unit 5, and I did this lab right here, configure IP addresses, and I did it in TestOut. You have no guarantee whatsoever that that's going to pull over into Canvas. So there's a little negotiation that's happening when you click on an assignment that says it's worth points and it's going over there to TestOut. It's taking you there. Then you're looking at it and doing whatever you need to do. And then the points are being brought back over into Canvas. Don't trust that if you go over to TestOut and get it done, that it's going to pull it back for you. That's basically what I'm saying. So you need to know you can log into TestOut anytime you want and go and peruse whatever you want over there. But for a score, you need to follow it from Canvas. Now, I also broke it down different. So you'll notice here in chapter 1. In chapter 1, we've got networking facts, and that's part of the fact sheets section in Canvas. And I've got a videos section in Canvas. And then I've got demos and then quizzes. And you'll notice that, look at that. This demo it's something that you watch, basically. You watch them do it. And that's worth 20 points. But none of these other videos are. Well, that's because for most of you, you're in class with me. And basically, I'm doing these things, right? That's a lecture that you're taking notes over. And how you get points for lecture comes into you turning in notes for chapter 1. What's a part of that? Did you get anything that I was saying, right? What's in there? Great. So that's there. That's how you get points for it. So a few of you might not be taking it here. You're taking it remotely. COVID has got you out of it, or I shouldn't say got you out of it, but taking everything online is harder. Those of you that have done taking just online and never meeting people face to face, it's a lot harder. Not because you feel alone, which you might, because you really have to go through that information all on your own and then ask a few questions. It's just harder. Anyway, and so for those that are actually taking all that, remotely, and they're never seeing me, there's never any videos from me, this is where your lecture is coming from, right? All these links to these videos are where your lecture is. And so for people in class, they might go, you know what, kind of still having a tough time with some of these terms. So I'll go ahead and click that link. It'll take me over to the terms, and I'll watch that video. You know, that's an extra help. Where you're getting points, right, was from when we talked about those terms in class and you took notes on it. And that's where you turn it in. So just to clarify, you're somebody that's never showing up to class because you've worked out an arrangement with me, then you're going to be taking notes over every single one of these things and turning that in here. For the rest of you, right, where you're taking notes over what we're doing in class. And you know, I do things differently than they do in those videos, right? I hit on a lot of things that I think are way more important. But in any case, um, your videos and your points for those will be me in class, and that's your notes turn in. I do have people from time to time that they get sick and they're out and they can't be there in lecture, and they're like, how do I get points? Because I wasn't in lecture and I can't, my notes are crap because I wasn't there. Well, then I will tell you, well, watch these videos, right? And take your notes over that, and I'll give you points for it. So very clearly in Canvas, you will see when something is going to be due and the point value for it. The only other thing you really need to know, I'll show you this on the back side. This is an assignment. And I'm going to go to edit assignment here. And you will see I've given you 20 points for this. That's what the points is. It's a fact sheet. And it's going to go out and load someplace else. And it's due on the 30th, and it's available till the 6th. And so if I go over to my grades, grade book here, nobody started, so I can show you the grades. There's nobody in there. Well, you guys are in there, but there's no scores or anything. There's basically a way for me to basically say, if you're late, this is how much points you get docked. And what I have done is I will be docking you points for doing that stuff late. So yeah, I want you to be able to turn things in, you know, something's not going right. But you'll notice here, automatically applied deductions for late assignments. So late submissions get deducted 3% a day, and then the lowest possible grade is a 0. Now, truthfully, I'm closing it 7 days later. And so 21% of your grade will be missing basically if you turned it in on the day it ends instead of the date that it's due. And the reason I'm doing that is because this is a class that you got to keep up on. You got to keep moving forward. And I've tried it several ways where I give students a lot of leeway. And I've tried it ways that are more strict, like what I'm doing here. And the stricter way always works. I found that students will always blow off stuff. I hate to say it. And I know that you're probably not that student. You're like, hey, McBride, I'm not that one. And that's true. There are always students that don't blow it off. They're always just right on time doing what they need to do. They're very successful in class, but there's most of the class hangs themselves with that rope. And I don't want that to happen to you. So you need to pay attention to those due dates and get them done. And so you will note you don't get test out in time, then you're going to miss work, and you'll still need to go through the information to understand it, but you won't be getting points for it. And so you need to get this information, pay attention to when things are due. Your way of looking at it from a student standpoint, you can look at the calendar, and upcoming will show you, I got this due, I got this due. It'll tell you when, so you can keep up on it. The last thing that I want to iterate that I said in class is the fact that you need to be preparing beforehand. And so that's really hard first day of class. That's not going to happen, right? But we're going to go through basically chapter 1 on that first day. And I'm expecting you to, okay, get the material, go through chapter 1 and start going through chapter 2. Because I need you to come into class having questions and ideas about how all this networking works, instead of just a blank slate. I have no clue what's going on. That's the way any class should really be. But to be successful and to understand this stuff, that's the way you need to go through it. And so the networking overview is not a heavy thing. We'll be through that in no time. And then I'll be like, okay, you guys better be doing the chapter 2 material so that the next time we meet, which is on Thursdays, I can come into class and say, so what's the difference between twisted pair and fiber optic? List out some of these differences for me. And then that way I can help you fill in the gaps and take things further because you'll already know the basics of it. And as a point of reference, I didn't mention this in my notes, that little video, look at the fact sheets and write down what you're thinking, like, why is it this, or why is it that length, or, whatever it happens to be on this. And then that way, when you get in class, you'll say, yeah, when I was looking at that information, I had this question, why this? And then we can discuss it. And that helps you remember and keep all that in. I cannot tell you how excited I am to teach this class. And I can't tell you how successful that you will be if you do what I'm asking you to do. So if you'll just trust me in this and do what I'm going to ask you to do, you at the end, you'll just be like, I had no idea I could get a grade that good and understand the material that well. Just trust me, and I'll lead you to success if you'll allow me to do it. I'll lead you there. All right, any questions? Let me know.